Welcome to Brew and Review with Mike and Jake from Orange Cactus Coffee. Join them as they put coffees and brew methods to the test.
Thank you so much for joining us for Brew and Review 12. Mike and I brew and review the ChainFruit today, but we don't really review it. We barely talk about it. It's the Hario V60 that we really talk about, and then we lay out every other brew device that I own, except for the espresso machine and the mocha pot and kind of those espresso devices that we've come to collect. Let's check it out.
All right, well, let's hear it. Review coffee, review, review coffee, review, review coffee, review, review coffee, review.
Welcome to Brew and Review. This week's Brew and Review is brought to you by Mike's Hour. Mike's Hour, an hour of pain.
Was it? It was painful?
No, it wasn't. I'm Jake Goebel. With
like
me, as always,
minutes.
is my coffee partner in crime, the indomitable Mike Kincaid.
Indomitable?
Yeah. Like the
It's like-
Indominus Rex
from
Jurassic Park. It's a
talking
little Jurassic Park teaser.
My ab. My one ab, Charlie.
We've got it's not the Indominus. I think it's the Indominus Raptor, Indoraptor. The
Abominable.
Indoraptor. The abominable.
Let me
Mike
ask you a
Kincaid.
question.
The Indoraptor.
You got me thinking.
Okay, you asked the question. I'm going to start brewing our ChainFruit on the Hario V60 here.
Your ChainFruit on... Yeah. Well, let me tell you what's going on here. But first, the most important question. Have you seen, and my colors are showing, have you seen Solo? Is that even out yet for you to go see it? You've seen it? Okay, he's seen it twice. I'm curious what you think, Jake. I've read a few headlines, some of which have said that it's the first Star Wars to flop. And that's mostly based upon their box office numbers, how much they're pulling in. But then just yesterday, I saw Disney had another preview for the next one coming out, summer of 19. And I thought to myself, that's too many. It's too many. I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. I enjoy the movies. But I thought you add so much more, right? When there's 20 years between the flicks. But maybe just like 2, 3, 5, give it a little bit. Build up a little suspense. It's like they're just coming one after the other. But I don't know what I'm talking about. What we have before us, I do know a little bit about. And it's every brew device, espresso excluded, that Jake owns. -1. -1. And it's an important one, but we didn't have it because it's off being put to good use by our friend JD, and that's the Kalita Wave. But we'll talk about it in passing. Today, we decided to do something a little different. Instead of highlighting or focusing on a coffee, we wanted to focus on the brew devices, and we wanted to touch on each one, what the difference is, why we like it, why we don't like it, why you might like it, and just do a quick rundown.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that it was either this or no show at all. Just to be totally transparent, let you
don't
behind
do
the
that.
curtain. Yes,
Leave your shirt on.
I'm taking it off. I'm taking the shirt off. Sometimes, not normally, but every once in a while, we just get busy with work, with life, with family, with kids.
Sometimes.
And it's hard to stay up on all the content that we put out. But we decided that we are going to, just yesterday, I guess it was 2 days from the time that you're listening to this, it was Wednesday, on the Daily Ristretto, I was talking about kind of our content calendar and what we wanted to do. It does tie into the Solo and Disney concept here. I'll tie those together in a moment.
Good.
But even after just saying that, and we've been like a week or two ahead on the Brew and Review before, and then we got behind, and it's hard. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. But you guys are worth it. And thank you for all the communicating that you do about how much you appreciate it. Because if you didn't, we probably wouldn't. That's just the bottom line. We probably just stick to one show every once in a while.
Yeah, it's definitely the comments and the feedback and the interaction that add fuel to it.
Yeah.
Add fuel. I turn the camera on, and I think you'll always be ready to go.
I'm always ready. I'm always ready. The camera turns on. The camera loves me. The camera feeds me energy. The camera says, Jake, just do you, baby. Just do you. Just be yourself. Now the camera, full transparency again, is the only person that ever says that to me. That ever says, Jake, just be you. Just do you.
You're talking about playback?
You are enough. Yeah, nobody else, no human being on the face of the planet comes up to me and says, Jake, just be yourself, buddy. Just do you. That's enough.
That's not entirely true.
Yeah, it's more like
there's times when we've been together
with like dialed back a little bit.
And I know we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
We got to kill this place and roll. And I said, Jake, just go. Have at it.
Just be you and get us kicked out. So.
And just kill the conversation so we can leave and everyone will be happy. Thanks, Jake. So
you're welcome.
I think starting with what you just used makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Which was...
This is the Hario V60.
Oh, wait. Yeah. Sorry. No. I know. Pause.
Should we start with the Kalita? No. Or no, the solo tie.
You got to pull this together.
I'm back there. Okay. So as I was sitting there looking at our content calendar, and I was talking about that in the Daily Ristretto.
What's a content calendar?
Just when you look at what you're going to, what kind of content you're going to put out for your audience. How do you schedule it? How do you structure it? How do you deliver it? A little thought behind it.
Yeah.
Well, and that's new for us. Because we normally don't put a lot of thought into things.
There's no forethought.
So we have our big show, our regular show, the Orange Cactus Coffee Podcast. Yeah. That comes out every Monday.
The OG.
And has, without fail, I don't think we've missed a day. We may have missed one Monday.
Had like a day where it was delayed or something like that.
Like a delay or maybe delayed by a few hours or delayed by a day.
Technical difficulty.
Oh, yeah, and it came out on Tuesday instead of Monday.
Or something
along those lines. Some sort of, learning process. Yes, I failed you guys in some way, shape, or form. But we've been doing that since January 1st, 2017. 2017, I think we had 10 episodes. We launched with like 10. We just dropped them. Boom. And then we were going 2 episodes a week, Monday and Thursday. And we did that for a long time. And then we dialed it back to 1 episode a week so that we could add video. Well, it was just audio previously, wasn't it? I mean, for a while there, we were just doing audio, and we decided, hey, let's do some video as well. And so we decided, let's pull it back to 1 episode a week and add video. Because we're adding a little bit more
and
work.
We wanted to shoot some brew guides and demos and various other videos.
Yeah, that hasn't. Actually, that has happened.
We've done some.
We've done
quite
as
much
a few.
as we've wanted, but we definitely...
No. But we've been consistent with our podcast. So that's our Monday show. Now, nothing else comes out on Monday. I used to think that it was a better idea to just dump everything on everybody on Monday. Like, so if we had an article ready, I just dump it at the same time as like 5 minutes.
The busiest day of their week.
Busiest day of their week. I'd give it a 5-minute break. I'd like dump one at 6 and one at 5:55 or 6:05. And I just throw up all over everything.
There you go.
That's not a good idea.
Should I do a DR the same day? No,
that's Jake. Not a good idea.
I'm going to do a DR.
Yeah, I think I did do a daily ristretto. I think I did an article. There were some weeks we did an article, a podcast, and a daily ristretto all on the same day.
They say if you want something done, give it to a busy person.
Yeah, I guess
was that your thinking?
Yeah, I guess so.
Like if anyone's going to listen to it, it's going to be the people that are too busy to listen to it.
I guess.
That makes sense.
Perfect. So now we do a daily ristretto on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and the Brew and Review on Friday. This is the Brew and the Brew and the Review.
Full disclosure, what day
Friday.
is it?
Today's Thursday.
Yeah, today's Thursday.
So it's the day prior. Yeah. But you don't like letting them that far behind the curtain.
Well, no, but this whole conversation's about...
That's true. The content calendar.
The challenges that we face.
So we look into the future and we say, hey, we need a podcast, we need daily ristrettos, and we need a Brew and Review, or we've done Yes or No with Scott Rayos on Friday as well.
Yeah.
And once we get this next batch to Scott, we're going to miss a couple Brew and Reviews, and we're going to put in Scott. Yes or No with Scott Rayo on the Fridays, which is fine.
So some valuable content.
Finally, some valuable content instead of YouTube.
We interrupt this regular scheduled programming to bring you something else.
To bring you actually something of value. But then also our articles. We're back writing. We are committed to writing coffee articles.
You're back.
And so those are going to come out on Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Nice. So Wednesday. Monday, podcast. Wednesday, article. Friday, Brew and Review, Scott Rayo.
We'll mix it
and
up.
Then the Daily Ristretto strewn in there. I think I'm going to stop doing Daily Ristrettos on Saturday, though.
It's a good idea.
Because I think I've received some feedback saying it's too much content. But if I do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, then you've got Saturday and Sunday to catch up on some of the content. I think that's the plan. So that is a content calendar. And then as we, in the midst of all that, we say, hey, we want to bring you a book on roasting. We're going to write a book on roasting. We have a launch date. There's a launch plan. There's a product, right, that's being launched. And then you've got marketing build-up, communication build-up, and all those other types of things that go along with it. Now, we're not that far into it yet. So Disney is pretty much the master. Or, well, they're all really good. But Disney is a master of planning content and delivering on it.
Yeah.
So if you look at, they have the Marvel Universe content calendar all the way into like 2023. They have the Star Wars content calendar.
Much production has to
all
go
the way into
it.
2023. Absolutely. So they have this release date, and then they have this movie Solo that seems to be doomed from the beginning, right? Because they had a release date for it. They hired the producer hired the director or a team of directors. Mm-hmm. They ended up not giving back to the studio what the studio thought was the best product. So they brought in a new director.
Really?
They reshot it. They added new characters. They didn't reshoot everything, but they reshot.
They reworked the story.
They reworked the story. They rewrote it. They reshot a lot of it. They kept what they could, and then they put it out there. It's almost like a whoopsie.
Here's our best
it's
with
kind
what
of
we
like
had.
a whoopsie. Now,
do you think it would have been better if they just said, we're starting over? Because you know who's doing that?
I think
Avatar. Have you heard about that? I guess he's obsessed.
Yeah.
Because that's a Disney deal, Avatar.
Is it Ron? Is that Ron?
No.
Who is that? That's James. Jim.
He is so
That's
obsessed,
Jimmy.
I read, with perfection that it keeps getting delayed another year, another year, another year.
And you're off calendar.
You're off calendar, but he knows.
And here's the thing. We are not obsessed with perfection. And we'll get into this in the show on Monday. So it's a little teaser for the show on Monday. But because we're not going to talk about it now. We're going to get back to these brew devices.
Or a feeler.
But the good, a teaser, not a tickler, a teaser.
It's a tickler. Put your ticklers out there.
No, your French ticklers.
No, put your feelers out there.
I know about you, Mr. French tickler. That's
Isn't that what they say
obscure movie quote. Hello,
let's
Dumb
find
and
out
Dumber.
what's going on in the town. Put your feelers out there.
Put your feelers out there.
See what the word is.
So sometimes better is the enemy of good.
Or best.
Yeah. Where you sit there and say, you know what? It can't be perfect, so I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's maybe for a movie, but not for a weekly show.
With hundreds of millions of dollars being poured into it.
Yeah. James Cameron. That's who it is. Jimmy.
Oh, Jimmy.
JC. J Sizzle.
Well, I think even on some level, they're not satisfied 100%. You can't be.
Right.
You know.
You have to abandon, right? Novels are not finished, they're abandoned. Movies are not finished, they're abandoned.
Yeah.
You could always go back and make something better and better and better and better and better.
And the pressure from such a cult following type of, pop culture
I've never seen
thing.
Avatar.
Well, I'm just saying.
Have you seen the movie?
Star Wars in general. When you're releasing something that has such a hardcore, cult following.
And the last one was really terrible.
I'm
sorry.
Yeah, so you didn't like Solo.
No, Solo was great. I enjoyed Solo. Solo was a good movie. Yeah, I saw it twice. It was great. Yeah. It wasn't maybe phenomenal, but it was a good movie. It was a fun movie. It was entertaining.
Well, maybe the just the fact that they had all these troubles prevented people from dropping lots of money.
I think so.
Because that's what they were saying is because the box office was so underwhelming. Yeah. The opening weekend, the following up weekend.
Well, you're competing with a lot of stuff going on right now as well.
Yeah, other factors.
I thought it was a good movie.
You're a Star Wars fan.
Yeah, I'm a Star Wars fan.
You enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You enjoyed it.
Yeah.
As much as Rogue One.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
At least as much as Rogue One. Rogue One was a good movie, too.
Oh.
I mean, I understand what they were doing. I did a lot of...
I didn't like Rogue One.
No, I didn't like The Last Jedi.
I was trying to zing you. Oh, okay.
The Last Jedi was a stinker. Rogue One, I thought was good. You can see what they did. You know what I mean? They wanted to appeal to... they were trying to get into China. Really. I mean, if you look at it, their marketing scheme, they're trying to make inroads into China.
I got you.
They're trying to broaden their market. And so they kind of manipulate the story and the characters to try and fit that.
That's interesting.
Now, I see it, but I still enjoyed the movie. I mean, I disagree with a lot of the types of
Solo.
Solo I enjoyed. Rogue One I enjoyed.
Okay.
The Last Jedi I never want to see again.
Oh.
But that's not what this podcast is about, Mike. This show's about these drippers in front of us.
Well, exactly.
And we're like 14 minutes into this.
You said kill the time while I brew, so I just threw that out there. I didn't.
Oh,
I should have known you were going to go.
Yeah, you know what happens when I go.
Well, luckily you have the ability to cut. and
gone.
chop.
Nope. This is staying
delete.
in. This is staying in, just like this Hario V60.
There we go.
This is my favorite version of the Hario. You can't see it if you're listening, but if you're watching, you can see it. We have a YouTube channel where you can see our faces and the things that we're talking about. I don't recommend looking too hard at our faces. However, sometimes we have nice things on the show that make up for our ugly appearance. Yeah. Anyways, there's a Hario V60. Mike is holding up a white plastic one. This is the clear plastic one. I like the clear plastic one. The black, they have a black one. It's metal. I have the red one. It's porcelain. That was my very first dripper, was the red porcelain Hario V60. It's like, it's nice. I don't know, 8 times as much as the plastic dripper.
Why do you like the clear over the plastic white? I like the plastic white because you can't tell. It's almost like a sleeper.
Yeah, it is. It's a sleeper dripper. It looks porcelain from a distance, but it's plastic. I don't know. I guess I thought that if it can't be black, it's going to be clear.
No, yeah, the clear's cool too.
Clear or orange. I just think
cool.
it looks cooler. It matches. I don't know.
And I think this is a good point. Before we move on, when, the V60 is kind of like, at least in your coffee journey, at some point you're like, I got to get a V60. Everyone does a V60.
You got to get a V60.
Don't feel pressured you have to get the best of the V60 or it's not worth it, right? The best Staying on theme.
Well, the best of the V60 is the $7
Not according to the price. Not according to, you think I spend more, you get what you pay for. I'm going to buy the porcelain, I'm going to buy the metal, I'm going to go with the best.
Right.
Depending on which Brewers Cup champion video you've watched.
Like Tatsu.
I'm just saying some have different arguments about why that one's better. Yeah, they all disagree on which one is better for heat. Mm-hmm. But in our experience, the plastic, for the value especially, hands down.
That's the one.
That's the one to go with.
Yep. That's the one you want. You can get it without breaking the bank. Go to Amazon right now. Get you a clear plastic for like $7-8. Now, prime too. You get a prime.
You can brew any coffee, obviously, that you choose. But we would recommend that this style dripper, the V60, with something that's a little bit lighter, maybe your fruity, floral, more acidic coffees.
Yeah.
It just accentuates, not sanctuaries.
Right.
Accentuates.
It doesn't sanctuary it. But it accentuates
the higher notes.
Yeah.
A little more clarity, a little more crispness.
I love that. Yeah.
Not quite as much body.
So the other dripper that's on this table that I would say accentuates the higher notes, the clean, the crisp, the body would be the Chemex. And this Chemex is also, it's kind of a mainstay in the specialty coffee community. It looks great. It's pretty.
Do they have a plastic Chemex?
I'm not a huge fan of it. No, it's glass.
Seen it.
It's glass.
Do they? Have you seen?
I haven't seen a plastic.
They only do glass. I think that's because that's what they are.
Yeah, it looks cool. They're a glass company. So that one right there, I think that's the 6 cup or the 8 cup. I think that's the 6 cup.
And 5 ounces a cup.
I think that's the 6 cup. And it kind of looks like a vase. It looks like a vase, a flower vase with a little air channel. On one side, it's got a wooden handle that is held on by a leather strap, and it's pretty.
It's very cool.
It's a pretty
talking
dripper.
Piece.
Now,
it's a stylish piece.
We recommend using the white or bleached filters when you use it.
Yes.
But let's say the Chemex is the only dripper that you want, and you want to be able to get a little more body out of it. You want a little more chocolate in your coffee, right? You're going to use some of those more nutty noted chocolates, or you want to be able to switch back and forth. I recommend this Kone filter. It is a metal filter, and it will give you a little more heavy body or fuller bodied, dirtier cup. Especially if you're making like a lot of coffee for a lot of people, and they're going to put cream and sugar in it. I've done that and it looks cool. You still get all of that. I don't know. Wow. You still get that wow factor of brewing.
Still there.
Yeah. Brewing into the Chemex, but you don't, the paper filter is not going to collapse into the air channel. You're not going to have any problems there. And it's a very well-made filter.
Yeah. Yeah. This one's, and did you say that by Abel?
Kone. Yeah. Now I think it's a little pricey though.
It is.
How much is that filter?
I want to say it's like $40.
I
could be
so
off,
too.
But it's up there where it's like,
pricey.
Is it worth it?
So if you're going to get like one, if you make a lot of coffee and you just want to get one dripper for your specialty coffee journey, the Chemex is not bad if you get like the white filters and the Able filter.
And the Chemex itself is not the cheapest either.
The Chemex is expensive as well.
This is like $40, I think, for this guy.
Yeah, they're pricey.
So
they're pricey.
Not too bad, but up there a little bit. One thing, right?
Yeah.
It has to be said, just on the reverse, the converse.
The converse.
On the opposite side of the filter spectrum is the all natty browns.
Yeah, avoid the all natty browns for the Chemex at all costs. At all costs.
They leave the strongest papery cardboard taste.
Now that's not across the board. Like you don't always like if you see a brown filter doesn't mean you should run. Blue Bottle, their coconut, right? Isn't it coconut? Bamboo filters.
Close.
Those guys are awesome. Also, I guess we could transition straight into that Bonavita Immersion style dripper. That guy.
60.
I thought it was 60 and 60.
60 for the cone.
Yeah, 60 for the cone, 60 for the Chemex, or 40 for the Chemex, something like that. You're looking at like $100 right there. You know what I mean? But that's not a bad use of the $100.
No.
Like the Yama Silverton that's not sitting on the table here because we gave it away to Reed. Thanks, Reed. Appreciate you taking it. That was not worth $100. But we pulled the trigger on it anyways, and then we gave it away. And we've done that with a lot of drippers that are not here, not a lot of brew devices. I'm trying to get rid of brew devices.
Keep what we use.
So we figure let's throw them all on the table now, and then we won't have to worry about it later.
Oh.
So this Bonavita Immersion style dripper, it's kind of a big dripper, but it's got this little knob. On this one, it's broken in the bottom. I use it for my cold brew as well, like the second, because I twice filter it. But that guy has got these Melita cone filters, not cone filters. They're a different type of filter. They're Melitas, but they're brown and they're fine. You can get away with using those brown filters. And this guy is just like a big, I don't know. It's kind of a unique shape. It's kind of like a rectangle cone. You know, the bottom is not a flat bottom. It's not a straight cone. It goes to a V, and there's a little rectangle kind of at the bottom there.
Yeah, but not a conical V like the V60.
Right. It's not just a straight cone V. It's kind of a rectangle at the bottom. So kind of a unique shape, kind of like more like the beehive. The
beehive.
What's that? What else is it?
Bon Mac.
Bon Mac. Yeah, the Bon Mac.
Which we don't have, but we do own.
It's kind of a big Bon Mac. And
it's very similar.
Like it's got this little lever in the bottom that allows you to stop the flow or go. Stop or go. Stop or go.
Or off,
so you can get a different type of cup. You can try and, with keeping it open, you can try and use your pour technique to get maybe a little cleaner cup, a little faster,
You can keep it open, do a pour over style.
Do a pour over, or you can keep it closed and try and, let the grinds.
Do an immersion style.
Immerse. And get a little fuller body out of it.
Yeah. Also in this camp, I was just going to say too, which I prefer better, just ours is on loan, is the Clever.
The Clever.
The Clever can function, except the mechanism I think is a little nicer. It's just either on the cup or off the cup is what, if it's on, it's open. The mechanism's open.
Yeah.
If you offset it on the little coaster they give you, it's closed. And you can do the same type of thing.
And I recommend the Clever as well. I'm gonna pull the trigger on one
which
plastic,
like the plastic V60. We think is actually better.
Even though
for heat
it
and handling.
It looks okay. It's taken a little while to grow on me though.
It's not the prettiest.
When I first
You're right.
saw it, I was
agree.
like, it's ugly. I don't want it. I want the Bonavita instead because it looks prettier. But then once you start using things, you realize, wow, the Bonavita broke easy. Now they replaced it and they're great with that. Thank you, Bonavita. But it's like. I'd like a little more wear and tear out of the
surprising it broke. It's just a simple little plastic lever.
So, but the Clever has been used by a bunch of different people for at least a year, and it's
the Clever's great. And I think the thing with these, and then we'll move on, that I would highlight, if you're looking for a place to start, if you're like, there's so much in front of me, which one would you start with? I would recommend these guys. The Clever being number one.
Yeah.
Main reason, if you use it as an immersion, you get your coffee dialed in, you use the white filters. Now with the Clever, you can buy bamboo. I recommend bamboo. I think they're the best. They don't clog. Sometimes with the Clever and also with the Bonavita, you'll get a little bit of pooling. It means it won't completely drain. And it's just because the filter gets so clogged with fines, not all the water escapes.
That's what happens with the cold brew, so I just let it sit. I used to sit and watch. Now I just set it.
I mean, it drains eventually,
and I just let it drain eventually through because I drain it straight into a bottle, a little flip top bottle from the Bonavita.
Yeah.
So I just set the lid on so no flies or spiders or anything else get in there, and it just
let it do its thing.
Just let it.
I think that's fine because you're just filtering. You're done extracting essentially.
For cold brew, it's cool.
Yeah.
There's no problem there.
So check out the Clever. Try it with the white. All you do, use it as an immersion style. Throw it in 3 minutes. Pop it on the cup. About a minute drain time. You got an awesome cup that you can repeat, and that's the key.
The other dripper that's not here, that is out on loan, that Mike has already mentioned, is the Kalita Wave. Now, there's a 1 cup and a 2 cup, or a 1 to 2 and a 2 to 4 cup, the 155 and the 185. I have never tried the 155, but Manny G from Manny G recommends, he loves the Kalita 155.
Perfect.
So
depending on how much you're brewing,
you can look into that little guy, but I really enjoyed the Kalita 185. And it's a flat bottom dripper. I bought the one that's like $130. It's the Tsubame. It's this copper.
I'll put a picture
with
up
handle.
in the video.
It is a gorgeous dripper. It gets so hot, it is almost impossible to use.
You mean like it's hot? Like this is a great, awesome dripper?
No, like you touch it, you're going to burn yourself.
Fire.
It's like it looks great, but it's really challenging to use.
Yeah.
And I'm just, in a busy cafe, I just don't know. Like I'm almost totally Scott Rayo'd out with the filter.
Just functionality
the
over
ruffle filters.
Oh.
I'm almost Scott Rayo'd out on the ruffle filters.
Like
I'm almost tired of ruffle filtering. When
that is
like the V60, it's smooth on the side. You get the little one pour. You get the
there's
little
no hiding. There's no
It's easy.
I think it's easier to excavate, and it's easier to ensure that all the grounds go down.
Yes.
Now it doesn't mean you can't do that with the Kalita style.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just different.
So in that same
little more
style though, from the Kalita, because it's got I think 5 holes on the bottom. It's a flat bottom dripper. And it uses this, like the regular drip coffee machine that you're used to growing up. They've got these little ruffles on the bottom. It's got just a smaller version of that. Now, in that same vein, we've got about 5 drippers here on the table that kind of duplicate or are very similar to the Kalita Wave, kind of the same family. The first one, Mikey, if you can hang that one up, hold that one up for us real quick. Yeah, that is the Calibrera.
Yeah.
What I like about the Calibrera is inside, you've got this little channel where you've got 2 holes. So
2 holes.
I think I would probably prefer 1 hole, but the Calibrera does a good job. Again, it's a flat bottom. You can use the Kalita 155 or the 185. I'd say the 185s probably fit a little better in that guy because he's a little bigger. But you can use that Kalita Wave filter. The next one that you can use the Kalita Wave filters in is this blue bottle dripper, and it's probably my go-to favorite dripper right now. It's got a single hole. It's very hard to mess up. Now, they spent a lot of years and a lot of time and money researching kind of what they thought would be the best dripper. And it was surprising to me that they came out with the ruffles. You know what I mean? A filter with the ruffles
but they
around
came out
the
with
edges.
their own.
They have their own bamboo ones that are a little pricey, but like Mikey already said, he loves them. The next one is the torch or the mountain, the torch. I don't know. It's a little, but you saw this one on the Brewing Review last week. It is sold by Kurasu.
Yeah.
That's where we bought it from Kurasu. And it's cool. It's got a unique feel. It's got its own little vibe there. I think it's got, 4 small holes and 1 big hole. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. You can use the V60 filters in it as well. I wouldn't recommend it. It's really tough. In fact, I don't recommend that brewer at all. I got it because I wanted to see it and it looks cool. But I couldn't recommend it. It's just hard to use. It's hard to use. I'm sorry. It's hard to use.
It's just funky. I mean, to me, right, the draw for these type of brewers, which is this Japanese style, intricate, beautiful functionality, everything all in one. I think above all else, it needs to be like perfect. And to me, this little donut, right, that it sits in is not perfect.
It's not.
And this brewer can kind of move around.
It moves around a lot.
And that is, in my opinion, huge because if you're cockeyed a little bit,
your extraction's going to get
a funky brew.
Yeah, it's got a little wooden donut that the porcelain dripper sits in. It doesn't have a handle, so it just sits in that donut, and the donut is what you're supposed to lift it and move it and control it by.
Now maybe they're not all this way, but this one I wouldn't use it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't gravitate towards it.
Yeah. This next one, again, it uses the Kalita 185 filters, and it is by Fellow, and it is probably one of my favorite drippers to look at. I got the Stag X and the Stag XF. The Stag X, you can use the Kalita 185 filters with. The Stag XF is much taller, but it's still a more narrow cylinder, and you have to use special filters that they give you for that. And they're a pain. They're a pain to use. I'm sorry. It's narrow. It's metal. It's double walled. It's cool to look at.
10 holes.
It's got 10 holes in the bottom. It's got a drip tray, which doubles as a grind holder, like when you grind something up. It's
sweet.
They
it's
just
vacuum insulated, I think, right?
Yeah. They look terrific. But they're so narrow that it's hard to get the coffee out of the ruffles off the sides. And you know me, I don't mind pouring water on the sides of the filters.
Yeah, I hit a little bit.
I don't care. I think it's a coffee myth, personally, that you can't hit the water on the sides of the filter. Like the water's just going to abandon your coffee. It's going to rush down the sides and not touch your coffee. Like, not it, and then try and dive into the brewed cup below. Don't happen like that. Water doesn't work like that. Water doesn't function like that. Science doesn't work like that.
No. You just want to get all the grounds wet as evenly as possible.
And so those grinds, they get high and dry, left to the side. And the more narrow it is,
participate in the pool
the more
party.
challenging it is to control it. You know what I should do, though? I should revisit the Fellow with these little tiny drippers.
Yeah.
Because I have more control over them.
That's true.
And see how that is.
It's like a water cannon, right? Like you could just hit individual ground.
Little water gun.
Boom. Nope. Get in. Get in.
Yeah. So I might revisit the Fellows again. But the Fellow XF, I believe
they're not cheap.
They're not cheap.
Tell you.
They're expensive, but I think they are designed as single pour drippers as well.
Oh, fill it.
The challenge with the single pour, if you cannot scrape the sides and get a little vortex going like you do with the Hario, is you're going to get grinds and frequently a lot of grinds. Left high and dry up on the side.
High and dry. Yeah, I'll tell you what it runs because you paid a couple bucks for these guys.
Yeah, they're both expensive.
Well, and speaking of Fellow, shout out.
Fellow.
Right?
We've got our little mugs
Big
as well.
Joe.
The Big Joe. These are the most beautiful mugs I think I own. They are also the most inconvenient because you can't put them in the dishwasher. You have to hand wash all. You have to hand wash them.
And
so
they take the whole hand.
They take the whole hand
and then some.
They're double walled porcelain, vacuum, something inside. They're great. They're great. I really wanted to use them I just don't. For at home, I guess it's cool, and I'll probably still experiment more. And I love Fellow. I got a huge brand crush on Fellow, but the practicality of using them in a cafe, I don't know. But what's interesting, because you're not allowed to use a dishwasher at. I guess you could use a big dishwasher.
Yeah,
but you can't use like the dishwasher that you have at home. You have to use this 3-sink method. And I think, because when I wash dishes with the industrial one, you put them on trays and then you run them through, right? You rinse them, you wash them, you put them on trays, you run them through, and there's like a cycle that it goes through.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they could go through that cycle from a commercial dishwasher, but I don't know many cafes that have that commercial dishwasher. I think the majority of it, they wash by hand in the 3-sink method. But
$50
for which one? The X or the XF?
Well, this Stag pour over dripper, whether I think either Stag X and XF.
Really? I think I paid a different price.
It says choose an option, X or XF. Yeah, they're the same now. They have them both priced at $50.
Do they
and
really?
You get to choose which one.
I want to say that I paid a different price for.
I think you did. Originally,
for either.
Their site shows they were $59. I think you paid more for the tall guy.
Yeah, I think I paid $60 for the tall guy and like $40 or $35 for the short guy. But I could be wrong. But I think I did.
Yeah, because the XF, the tall guy, is 600 milliliters, and the X is 300.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they got them both for 50.
So maybe I should get back into those. What I would like to try, they've got like this duo. It's like a brew. It's kind of like what you have with the St. Anthony's Industries.
Oh, the Phoenix?
It's like
the filibuster.
The filibuster.
The decanter that you brew into.
Yeah. It's like it fits into that. And like the duo is
duo
like that.
coffee steeper.
Yeah, it's got this specific, it's a brew device, but it brews into a decanter, a vessel that you can then serve from.
Yeah, that's pretty. Oh yeah, there it is. I just wanted to say real quick too, I just saw the Kalita was 3 holes.
Oh, the Kalita is 3 holes. Okay.
The blue bottle drippers is 1, and the Cali Brera is 2.
Cali Brera is 2.
So pick how many holes.
And the Fellows, the Stag X
10
and XF are both 10.
5 in the middle, 5 around the outside.
Yeah, they're pretty.
Kind of a star pattern.
I would really love to use Fellow stuff exclusively just because of how visually exciting they are.
Yeah.
I mean, they're sleek, they're clean, they come in, it's all black.
It's designed and manufactured very well.
Yeah.
It's cool.
And you have anyways, okay, I'm done. I got a huge brand crush on Fellow, but I need more practicality.
Fellow.
You know, I need more practicality. That's all. All right, moving right along.
Do they give you the honey glows?
They give me the honey glow something fierce.
Or something awful. That's what
they give me the honey glow something awful. Yeah. Thanks, Mike. Yeah. Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Anyways, moving right along, we've got since we're going to stick with Fellow here, they also make a little attachment for a device that is called the AeroPress. This AeroPress is a fantastic brew device. And it's one of the ones that I recommend people start with if they want. But it is plastic. It is a plastic cylinder. Inside the plastic cylinder goes a handle with a little plunger on it. And at the end of that cylinder is a little cap. And inside that cap, it's got a bunch of holes, a gazillion holes in it. You can place metal filters or you can place paper filters. And this Fellow Prismo, what it does is and we're missing the metal screen in here. It's upstairs. But anyhow, it replaces that cap and goes on top, and it gives you a more concentrated, a pressurized
little valve
brew exit, I guess.
Pressurized brew exit.
Yes.
Thank you, Fellow.
Yeah, you're very welcome. So anyways, but this is an immersion style dripper. Now you can use it for any coffee, and we've had good fruity coffees on it, but I recommend it. I like it for if you're a cream and sugar drinker, or the missus this is the one that I recommend. If you're just getting started, it is impossible to mess up.
Yeah,
it is impossible to mess up.
Very consistent.
Unless you're Mike and you're brewing into like something where you don't like a mug where there's no mug underneath or whatever you're doing.
Yeah, mind your brew destination size. The size of the mug.
Yes.
Just be careful. Because you'll run all over the place.
What some specialty coffee folks do not like about it is with most recipes, you add water to the end to get to a larger cup. One way you avoid that is you limit yourself to like a 200-gram recipe, because that's about as much water as I can fit in there with coffee.
Generally.
Around 200.
20 grams, 200, about max.
That's about the max that you can fit in there. 20 grams of coffee, 200 grams of water. If you want a smaller cup, or if you want a bigger cup, you add water to it. So I do 2,300. I do 200 grams in, and then I add 100 afterwards.
Yeah.
If you don't want to add the water, you just have to use less coffee and then
have a smaller cup.
Which is fine too.
If your extraction is right and you get a properly brewed concentrate, essentially, a very strong cup.
Yeah.
You're 10 to 1 at 20 grams to 200. Adding a little water to lessen the brew strength does not change the flavor. If you did it right, there's 2 parallel things. You have extraction, and if that's done, that just means if you have less water, you probably have to go a little bit finer. And so go a little bit finer if you feel like it's diluting or the flavors just aren't there. But if done properly, you won't notice.
What I like about it as well is that you can have one recipe, kind of your go-to recipe, and then you can add more or less water
many variations
to bring your brew strength up depending on who you're brewing for. If you start at a 10-to-1 ratio, right? And then let's say you have guests over and they're used to K-cup in it, and those Keurigs are about a 25-to-1 ratio. Now you can bring it to a 20-to-1 ratio for them. You can mimic it by bringing it up to a 25-to-1 ratio, or for yourself, you can do 15, 16, 17-to-1 ratio.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's some fancy batch brewers that cafes use that have what they call like a bypass that essentially does the same thing. They brew a strong cup of coffee or a pot, and they have it dialed in, but they want to dilute it down a little bit. They actually have a system that adds water. You don't even know it's doing it. It's just bypassing the brewed coffee so that, you in the end, you get the brew strength you're shooting for. It's like if you want to brew a little bit more, but your batch is limited to only holding so much coffee, like the AeroPress, use the bypass or add water in the end.
So ultimately, there's a vacuum area in there, and that forces the water and coffee over the filter.
There's a little bit of air.
And that's how you...
Lack of it.
Or lack of air. There's a little pocket in there. And that's how you get the coffee filtered. You force the coffee and water over the filter.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that is different than the French press, the next little brew device that we're going to go to here, which is a kind of a glass usually. Sometimes it's a metal cylinder, but typically a glass cylinder. And inside that, you have the same thing. You have a plunger, but it's a metal disc and a metal filter. So you can't pick paper or metal. Like with the AeroPress, you can pick paper or metal, depending on what you want to buy.
Yeah,
Able makes a great, just
same
like
company.
the Able Kone, they make an Able disc filter that goes into the AeroPress. It's fantastic.
They sell different hole sizes too. You get a kit. It's kind of cool.
So then you have this, for this French press, you plunge down after you put the coffee and the water in, and you force the filter over the coffee. So it's a little backwards. It's a little different. You force the filter down, and you filter the coffee out instead of forcing the coffee and water down over the filter.
Mm-hmm.
So the AeroPress, you get to pick. Do I want a clean cup? Do I want a dirty cup? Whatever. For the French press, you're going to end up with a pretty dirty cup if you use it the typical way that the most French press recipes are, which are very simple. You get a coarse coffee grind, you throw it in there, you pour hot water in. After 5 minutes, you press it down, you pour it out, you try to leave the last little bit, the dregs in there, but you're still going to end up with a pretty dirty cup.
Yeah.
Now, there are some brew variations on ways to get a cleaner cup with the French press.
Yeah.
Do you want to go into those real quick? Is it Tim's? Is it Tim's or Jim Sevens?
Jim 7 is who I saw it. Yeah. I think Chris Baca also threw out a variation.
Big Baca.
Very similar. But yeah, let me just say, with immersion brewers, you can be more consistent, right? As we said with the Bonavita or the Clever. But generally, immersion is less efficient because the coffee and the water is just sitting there kind of stagnant. When you're doing a pour over and you're pouring fresh water constantly over the
motion.
There's motion, there's agitation, but you're also introducing fresh water. That's like, it's like a sponge if you picture it that way. You're throwing new sponges in there, and so it's constantly soaking up that coffee better and better. Whereas with something that's sitting, that concentrate is taking more time to slowly impact all of that. Like think of if you have a pitcher of water and you drop a little like red food coloring dye into it and you don't touch it, it takes a while for that to saturate the entire pitcher. It's similar to that effect. So yes, as Jake was saying, generally, to avoid a dirty cup, you got to go real coarse. And so that makes it even less effective with extraction. So the way to combat that is you go find almost the same level of fineness as you would for a pour over, but the key is to let it sit. And what that means is you let it sit so that all the grinds, and we'll link to it. You'll link to it maybe, Jim Sevens.
Yeah. I'll link to Jim Sevens.
The best, he calls it like the best or the cleanest French press you'll ever have. And I love it. It takes 10 minutes, though.
Mike's an annoying fanboy over this particular method.
It's amazing.
It's not good.
When you get it right, it's like, I never knew. I never knew this device could give me such an amazing clean cup. Yeah. Clean being the keyword, like zero silt, dregs, nada. So check it out, but you use a finer grind and you use time to allow the grinds to sit, and you don't press. You don't press the French press.
That's the part that kills me.
But
because it's a hack. but it's it's a hack, but it's like, that's not the way the device was designed to be used.
I think it's designed to produce coffee. And if you make coffee with it, then you're using it as intended.
Okay. I can't argue that. I want a device. I want to get into a device that is like, hey, this is the way it's supposed to be used.
Yeah.
And because, I mean, if you look at Hario, it's kind of like the Rayo method is kind of the Hario method, the way that they tell you to do it in the little card that comes with it.
You're going to see it in their instructions.
You're like, oh, thanks, Scott. I don't know why it took Scott to get me to follow the daggum stinking instructions, but sometimes it takes somebody slapping you upside the head and telling you to do things right.
Mm-hmm.
So moving along, there's another little press-contained cylinder handle device that we talked about. We still haven't seen it used. Maybe that's what we should have done. We should have just brewed and reviewed.
We got plans.
With the Spro.
We got plans for it, as well as a few others that are missing.
So talk about the Spro real quick.
Yeah, so the S-Pro Ultralight.
Oh, the S-Pro, my bad.
S-Pro Ultralight. Yeah, you've seen it if you've watched previous videos.
Talked about it. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it.
It's enough time because it is a cool little brewer, and it's a different class, right? It's these all-in-one to-go style brewers. And
there's a lot of them popping up on Amazon, on Kickstarter. Yeah.
I think this is one of the best ones we've seen for a few reasons. It's super light. Essentially, it's like a French press. You throw the coffee grounds in the container, add water, let steep for 3 minutes, and then you press the filter over top. Now, the nice thing, though, about this version, it's double filtered with these micro screen mesh filters.
Yeah, like plastic mesh, I guess, or
no,
nylon. What are they?
I think you're right. Maybe like a nylon. Yeah, something like that. But they're so fine, you get very little, if any, silt or dregs. However, they also come with paper filters, and you can put a paper filter between these two filters, and you get an ultra clean cup, which I think is sweet.
It's almost like a thrice filtered cup, a triple filter.
Exactly. And you just push it down, and that's it. Once you're done brewing and you've pressed this down, you just drink, and you're good to go. Now, caveat, right? That's the problem with it is it's so stinking hot because of this vacuum sealed, how well this thing works. You have to wait a little bit, in my experience, or leave the other lid, this guy, off in order to start enjoying it.
Yeah, because it keeps it hot.
But then the idea is after that, you could rinse it out if you're on the go or at work and throw water in it. Yeah. It doubles then, a cold beverage.
You could kind of make one for later, bring that. Like, I get that kind of question, right? I'm on the road, I'm driving. I make one for myself in the morning. I make this to go with me. And then, a couple hours later, it's still hot. And then you can dump it out, and then what S-Pro promotes, which is switch to wine next
with
to
a
get
libation.
Hydrated.
There you go.
To get hydrated. So
it is a cool device.
I would recommend not doing that whilst driving, especially if your job is to drive. But,
if you're on the go,
looks a little different.
You could load it up, and you could bring some pre-ground, grind it that morning. And if you want another cup, all you got to do is rinse it, add the grounds, and find some hot water, and you're good to go. The prep is really simple. So
speaking of really fine nylon mesh filters, that brings us into this Hario cold brew bottle. Now, I get people telling me, they say, well, I've got the Mitsu Dashi, which looks a little different. I don't have that one. I'm a huge fan of the bottle. Basically, it's a bottle with a rubber top, and inside that rubber top sits a filter, and it hangs in there. It's very simple to use. And inside that filter, you fill it with 55 grams of coffee, and then you pour 700 grams of water in through the top. You just pop the little top off, and you pour it in there, and then you let it sit for 12 to 15 hours. And
it's got little water level markers on the side. That's cool.
It does, and it's perfect. I love it. And then I maybe I go a little too fine. I'm not sure, but I kind of get a dirty bottle of cold brew. There's a lot of silt. I don't know, dregs, and so I double filter it. I twice filter it with the Bonavita, and I love
this guy.
So then absolutely love the cold brew.
You put this over what?
I put that on the top of a bottle, on top of a 16-ounce flip-top bottle.
Put a filter in there.
I put a filter in there.
Pour
Well, I put a filter. I pre-rinse it so I don't lose any coffee into the filter.
Yeah.
So I pre-wet it.
Good idea.
And then you can't put all of it in there. I've learned that the hard way.
What do you mean?
You can only put you have to leave like the bottom inch in there. But so this is what you do. You pour that into your Bonavita. You leave the bottom portion. You put the cap. You put the little lid for the Bonavita on. You walk away. You come back. Your bottle's full. Cap the bottle. You put it in the fridge. Then you take the rest. You pour it through again. And then you have a little bit of cold brew right then and there.
I gotcha. Yeah, it's a great device.
So you get 16 ounces for later, and you get some for now.
Some of the cold brew you've made with that has been amazingly flavorful and bright. I have at home the Filtron, the big boy.
I thought you had the Toddy. No, you got the Filtron.
Well,
the
the Toddy, I think, is kind of a universal word, but they're the same.
Oh.
There's no different. There's different brands. The Toddy, the Filtron, at least from what I can ascertain.
Method seems to be the same.
And the device looks pretty much the same. They're slightly
I
slightly
borrowed
different.
that once and made a complete mess of it.
You can. Yeah, I've done the same.
Yeah.
But if you need to make a concentrate, a large batch of concentrate, the Filtron works pretty well. I've never gotten a crisp, acidic, bright cold brew. It's your traditional chocolatey, deep, which is, I think, great if you're doing mixed drinks or, it has its applications. Or even if you're using it on something for recipes for cooking.
Yeah.
Your day-to-day, though, this is much easier. The Filtron takes a lot of work. It takes to do a full batch on the Filtron, you have to use a full bag of coffee.
Yeah.
And that's it. You got to grind through it all.
Scale. You're going to scale it better, but I think the flavor of the little guy is better.
I think the prep's so easy. You grind it, throw it in, add water. Next day, you've got something to drink.
You got it, yeah.
Get a couple of them, you're good to go. So we recommend that guy for your cold brew needs.
Yeah. I love it.
Is that what we got?
We're at 50 minutes. I think we could probably wrap it up. I don't think people were ready to hang out for an hour while we talk about brew devices.
You might have to put a little...
disclaimer?
No, a time marker in there for when we stop talking about Star Wars and actually get to...
Should we just split it up in between the two episodes? Brew and review?
Just sling it.
All right, going to sling it.
We're sacrificing what's best for what's good. Or hopefully it's good.
I sure hope it's good. You can, of course, find the show notes at orangecactuscoffee.com/review12. That's orangecactuscoffee.com/review12. Would love to know how you liked the show, didn't like the show, what more you want to see in the comments. Thank you so much. We'll catch you next time.